Hello everyone and welcome back for part 3 of 5,000 Years of War, where tables are going to be turned upside down in Mesopotamia. Leave a like and subscribe for more stunning war stories. I'm the Archivist, let's dive right back in. In 2430 BC, the first dynasty of the city of Ur in southern Mesopotamia has just been overthrown by Elamites of King Peli and coming from Awan. If you wonder where we are, you can see here the crossing between Europe, Africa, and Asia, and more precisely in this region right here, you can see the map here. So it is the city of Ur that is being quite shaken by an attack of Elamites of King Peli. It is poor King Baluru of Ur that has received the full brunt of the assault. Some years later, the Elamites gone, the Sumerian Enshakushana makes himself king of Ur and Uruk and possibly defeats Enbi Ishtar of Kish north in Mesopotamia. One king Uhub of Kish had already suffered from Ur and Uruk some time before. Before the end of the century, Enshakushana vanquishes Nippur, Semites in northern Mesopotamia, and Hamadzi in nowadays western Iran. I put it here with a question mark. Roughly in the same years, Eannatum of Lagash, remember our Rambo from the previous video? He emerges as the dominant in Mesopotamia. Victor of alliances between Kish, Uruk, Ur, and maybe Elamites, he takes Lhasa in the south of Sumer, Akshak in Subartu to the north, and ultimately unifies Sumer and almost all of Mesopotamia, going as far northwest as Mari. Yes, Mari is quite northwest indeed. Later in his reign, one-eyed Eannatum suffers a defeat against Elamites, maybe losing Kish, which is subject to inner struggles after that. And what you see here is the back of the vulture stele that we saw in the last video. A Sumerian god, Ningirsu, is hitting prisoners, among them the king of Umma, with a mace. And just for the fun of it, a Sumerian ceremonial golden dagger. Next, in 2400 BC, Eannatum, brother of Rambo Eannatum and his recent successor, has lost Umma to its new king, the rebel Enakale, and died in the fighting. Enmetana, son of not Rambo Eannatum, exacts revenge upon Enakale and gives its glory back to the city of Lagash, defeating the city of Tubal or Bat Tibira and King Lugal-Kinezi-Dudu, I'm not kidding, of Ur and Uruk. The situation is not 100% stabilized around Lagash, however, as a Sumerian tablet of the time recounts in cuneiform writing, of course. Having surprised a party of 600 Elamites taking booty of Lagash to Elam, Luena, the priest of Ninkimar, gave them battle. He defeated them. 540 Elamites have fled, 60 Elamites have been taken. Urbawa, servant of Nilonutuma, master of smiths, is with them. Luena detains them in the temple of Ninkimara. Sorry for the chicken scratch, I did not write that. To top off with these temporal environs, possibly after a long war, the city of Mari is taken by the army of Kundamu of Ebla, a millennia-old city southwest of modern Aleppo. However, the balance of power will shift in the coming decades, Kundamu's son, Igri-Shalam, declaring himself vassal of Mari. And to at least talk a little bit about the ongoing Egyptian 5th dynasty, here is a very interesting fresco found in the tomb of official Inti. It possibly depicts the siege of Tel es-Sakan, south of Gaza, by Egyptian warriors armed with bows and axes and using ladders. Earlier, under this dynasty, Pharaoh Userkaf fought in Nubia and Canaan against the Bedouins, notably. 2390 BC, here or a little later, one Eannatum, again of Lagash, must repulse two attacks of King Urluma of Umma. He then counterattacks, destroying 60 war chariots of his enemy before dying fighting Elamites, it seems, while this time Uruk gains influence. 2365 BC, usurper or legitimate king of Lagash, Uru-Nimgina is defeated by Lugal-Zagezi of Umma. Remember that the two cities are close to each other and are rivals. Lagash is sacked along with Girsu. Lugal-Zagezi rules Mesopotamia, submitting Isin, Adab, Nippur, Kish of King Ur-Zabala, Ur of King Meskiagnuna, Uruk, his new capital, and Eridu, all of southern Mesopotamia, to make it simple. At one point, he sacks Mari to the northwest and reaches the Mediterranean coast. About 10 years later, from here, Irkab-Damu of Ebla emancipates from Mari's domination. Before 2340, he expands Ebla's dominance over half of modern Syria, notably over Emar, the modern Maskana near Aleppo. Trade is made with numerous partners, among them Zizi of Hamadzi, somewhere around here, who exchanges wood of the west against the mercenaries. Before the end of his reign, Irkab-Damu will submit Abarsal, east of Ebla, thanks to his Lugal or vizier Ebrium. 10 years later again, Teti of Egypt, first pharaoh of the 6th dynasty, fights to maintain his frontiers. Under this dynasty, expeditions are made in Nubia to the south and in Sinai, soldiers protecting convoys against Bedouins and other plunderers. It seems that the first use of Nubian mercenaries by Egypt dates back to here. Teti may be assassinated by his bodyguards under the influence of the usurper Userkare, is succeeded by other pharaohs that will lead similar campaigns, but face inner disorders too. Pepi too will suffer revolts because of droughts, for example. And of course, taming revolts involves lots of cruelty. See here this older palette of the time of Narmer. See the first video of the series for more. 2340 BC, around here, Ishar-Damu of Ebla, around here, comes to power. He'll rule for 3 to 4 decades, his vizier or Lugal, Ibisipish expanding Ebla's influence by defeating or fighting the cities of Bagara, Ibal near Katna, more to the south, and Armi, Aleppo itself, maybe. A little bit later, 2335, now is a very important date. A great change is awaiting Mesopotamia. The Sumerians have been dominating the Semites of the north for centuries, but Sargon, the Akkadian being a Semitic tongue, former officer at the court of Ur-Zabala, the king of Kish, takes over. It is in fact either himself or Lugal-Zagezi of Umma that vanquishes Ur-Zabala, but that's for sure. After a year of confusion, with many rivals fighting for dominance, it's Sargon that's on top, and for good. Sargon the Ancient, the first of his name, founds Akkad somewhere in northern Mesopotamia and gives it a strong double rampart. Although Sargon and his successors will call themselves kings of Sumer and Akkad, the Semites will very slowly eclipse the Sumerians. Here you can see an Akkadian soldier leading prisoners. In 2330, Assur, a Semite city north of Akkad, is integrated to Sargon I's empire, pacifically or not. On a rocky spur above the Tigris River, Assur will possibly suffer from the Gugians in the upcoming times, Gugians of the Zagros Mountains. Around 2325 BC, or maybe 2316 BC, Sargon I, the Ancient of Akkad, defeats and captures Lugal-Zagezi of Uruk in this very city, south of Mesopotamia. Its walls are razed to the ground, and Lugal-Zagezi sacrificed to the gods in Nippur, holy city of Sumer. Later, Sargon submits King Kashtubila of Kasalu, and then, southward, Lagash and Ur, while this time other Semites, nomads coming from Amurru, far to the west, lead raids against western Mesopotamia. The following year, maybe, Sargon I submits an Elamite alliance of 4 kings led by Lush-Ishan of Awan. Zagros, Warashi, and Anshan are the other components of that defeated alliance. This 11th year of the Akkadian reign is in any event the time of an expedition westward towards Amurru and Canaan. Amurru, Canaan. Sargon I goes by Alala or Alaktum in the north, submits the Hurrian city of Urkesh, destroys Nagar, both around here, then defeats Ibla, a land tied to the future kingdom or empire of Hatti. Quite a few years later, in 2308 BC, it is the 32nd year of Ishar Damu's reign over Ebla. His Lugal, meaning Vizier Ibisipish, allied with the rebuilt Nagar and maybe Kish of central Mesopotamia, beats King Hidar of Mari in a battle near Terka, west of the Euphrates River. Army is soon after occupied, but we know that before the end of Ishar Damu's reign, Ebla will suffer from inner turmoil. Sargon of Akkad will also attack it, maybe around 2300 BC. 2300 BC being the time when the Canaanite citadel of Khirbet al-Batrawi, rich from trading with Egypt in nowadays Jordan, somewhere around here, is burned, possibly by Amorites. Some Amorites settle in Canaan. And these years are also possibly the time of a king Anubanini of Lulubi in Mounts Zagros, east of Mesopotamia in nowadays Iran. He is seen here with prisoners and war goddess Inanna. 2284 BC now is a sad moment. It is the earliest date proposed for the death of Sargon I, the ancient founder of Akkad. Victorious in 34 battles and sieges according to ancient records, vanquisher of Uruk, Ur, Uma, Mari and Ebla, smiter of Elam, he was at the head of a mighty army. Over 5,000 professional soldiers armed with bows, axes and spears, bronze weapons probably, protected with shields and leather and scale armors, and war chariots to top it off. Divided in 9 corps of 600 warriors each, led by a Sagin, its basic unit seems to have been the score, 20 men. Sargon's successor, Rimush, has to deal first with rebellions in almost all Mesopotamian major cities. Ur, where King Kaku is captured, Kazalu, where walls are brought low and 12,000 killed, Uma, where 8,000 men are killed, Lagash, of which you see rebels being beaten right here, Girsu and Nippur. There are possibly 15,000 dead and as many prisoners in one single battle against Adab, allied with Lagash and Girsu, and maybe Zabalam. 2282 BC, some order restored in Sumer and Akkad, Rimush leads a campaign against Elam, scoring 2 victories over King Hishep-Ratep or Kita. The second victory possibly occurs when this king unites for a counterattack with Sidgo and Abel-Gamash of Parashum, as well as people of Gupin and Meluha far to the east. Rimush claims that he killed 15,000 enemies and took 4,000 prisoners in this battle. However, Elam's capital, Awan, remains free. Rimush will be assassinated around 2274 BC. His brother Manishtushu, whose reign is sometimes actually placed before Rimush's, will also war against Elam and other kingdoms. Alrighty, this is quite enough for today. In wait for the next episodes, tell us in the comments down below if you know some interesting facts about these events or characters, or about the period in general. See you all very soon.